I don't think we've ever had contestants genuinely get angry with one another. It's the first time where I'm like, F me, you're pissing me off, I love you, but shut the hell up.
He says that's what people remember. They remember the song. 5 minutes before, he said, I can say it off by heart. I'm the guy who knows it.
Oh, I'm shaking. No.
Three. Oh, they shot it on iPhones. I'll know that by looking at this animated GIF. So...
Oh, jeez. Now, what were your options? I'm so heated now.
Plot Armor! Hello and welcome to the penultimate episode of Plot Armor, the show where we fight hard but fight fair most of the times to answer stupid questions about movies you love, hate, or Caleb's never heard about. I'm your host, Vincent. Let's meet today's combatants. Right next to me, a filmmaker at heart with ideas that ignite, raised in essay, keeping his script writing tight. Give it up for Duncan Machete. Duncan, you're back.
Yes, I am back. This is my second episode. I'm very excited. Hopefully I can redeem myself this time.
I don't think you did bad at all. I think you were just on an episode where everyone was amazing, including you, but those two just took it. Before we continue, anything you want to tell us about you, about Duncan?
No.
You know what? No is an answer, and we accept no's. Sitting right next to Duncan, he loves plants, eclectic foods, and all things niche. Bring your A game because he'll bring the winning speech. Give it up for Paul Tron. Paul, how are you doing?
I'm fairly graceful.
That's a good.
I'd say.
Some would even say stoic. And tell me, tell me who you are and what do you do?
I am an awakening filmmaker, or reawakening. Yes. Since I've taken a bit of a sleep for a few years, I am learning many other things, I suppose. Cuisine related, martial arts related.
That's the thing about Paul. Anyone who knows him, and we all know him, he will teach you things in any conversation you have with him, which is something you guys can look forward to.
Which is also a surprise to me sometimes.
Yes, you teach yourself frequently as well.
I receive a fresh download.
Software update.
Sitting right next to Paul, you know him, you love him, the co-creator of this chaos, the face of every hot take, and the man whose expressions give away every stance he'll make. Give it up for Caleb Janssens. Caleb, we let you back in.
Yes, I'm fairly graceful. I have been around. I'm referencing Paul and 21 Pilots.
Is that why you kept on telling me how easily you'll win this episode the whole way?
No, I won't lie. This is the first time I've genuinely been like... So just so you know, originally I wasn't supposed to be in this episode. We had someone pull out very, very recently. And I'm genuinely very nervous. I don't think I'm as good as Vincent at like subbing in last second. So I'm like, my heart is doing this.
We'll see.
For the first time in a long time for a Plot Armor episode.
I mean, just the context of why are all of us sitting here. So funny enough, all of the four of us work for the same company. Shout out Dark Soup.
Really?
But almost all of us, yes, almost all of us from different departments, you know. Almost all of us have gone to film school. Most of us have even finished high school. But this is a film school perspective episode, but please bring your own taste to it. Don't worry, we don't go too hard on that because some of us don't even believe in, I would say film school, but school.
It's Duncan. Duncan's very
Duncan's the doubter.
I left after grade 4.
I think that's too much introduction. We will move on to the rules. The rules are simple. 3 contestants face off over 5 debate topics. Each round runs 10 minutes, and the host awards a point to the most passionate debater, the one with the sharpest argument and fiercest rebuttal. After 5 rounds, the top 2 scorers enter the speed round Showdown. 5 rapid-fire questions with just 20 seconds to argue and 50 minutes to rebut. The overall winner gets crowned main character of the episode, while the other gladiators fade into obscurity as the extras. But before we continue on, we are thirsty and we are parched, and we are sponsored by Tebedien, once again, our favorite drink sponsors. Don't forget to stir. And today we have a little pineapple grape medley with a bit of... Paul, this is rosemary, right? Okay, that in here as well. So we will take a sip, for we talk a lot.
Paul already taught me something new.
I taught you. He just confirmed it. And it is delicious as always, but I will try my best to save it for a little bit. So thank you, Tebedien, for keeping our energies high and our hearts happy as we continue to hear what this episode will be about. Today we're going to ask these editing experts about 2025 movie trailers, the best musician movies, and more, but we will start with question 1. Yep, it's that time. Alien vs. Predators was an amazing concept that just fell short of glory, but we personally think it's because one more combatant would have tripled the fun. So pitch a third one and tell us, Aliens vs. Predators versus what? We'll start with Caleb.
So, interestingly enough, as we mentioned earlier, we had another co-worker who was supposed to be on the show called Kagiso. You've seen him on the show before. And he actually had the best answer, and I'm going to keep his answer, and that is the T-800 from Terminator. You all know him. You all love him. He's Arnold Schwarzenegger from the first films, in his prime. And I just think across the board, the T-800 is the perfect combatant to join this battle. We've seen them all clash in the comics. They're also period appropriate. All of them come from pre-2000. They're all action blockbusters. They share very similar genres. Power scaling is also very consistent for all of them. So I think across the board, in every metric you look at them, the Terminator is the perfect combatant to enter that trio.
Perfect. Let's hear from Duncan. I love doing that. I always love timing them with the subs. Go for it.
All right, my answer is Pennywise, the clown. Movies like Predator and Aliens initially started as either horror or horror-esque, but as more movies were introduced into the franchise, they usually stray away from that and just become generic actions. I feel like monsters work the best when they're at the absolute scariest, so forcing the movie into a horror by adding Pennywise into it would actually have that effect, and it would work amazingly. These types of movies, especially Predator, especially Aliens, especially any horror movie, they work the best. Any monster movie works the best with suspense. Again, what's the best suspenseful fictional genre out there? It's horror. Introducing Pennywise would have to force the filmmakers to make it a horror and actually make the monsters as scary as they can be. It would work amazingly for me.
Awesome answer. And lastly, Paul.
My answer was the Thing from Fantastic Four.
Plot twist.
Yeah, just joking. No, the Thing from from the 1980s John Carpenter film, not the 2011 remake. I chose that because it is a formidable enemy. It is shapeless. It is amorphous. It is not obvious in any considerable way. And it attacks without reason, without a clear motive, and it is able to adapt to you. It is able to take your form. There is very little that can take it down. So I think it is a formidable enemy and can easily rival the likes of the Xenomorph and the Predator in combat.
3 fantastic answers. Let's hear who wins this little triple fight.
Begin! Okay, no, I'm going to lock in now. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go after you, Duncan, because... Shut up. No, so you mentioned how all of these films, series obviously started as horrors. And obviously, I think the best thing to fit into that box as well is Terminator, because Terminator as well has very deep horror roots. You can't watch the first Terminator and not see where the horror tropes are being used. So I think everything you've said about using horror as an element works for Terminator as well. But I think the biggest issue with Pennywise in regards to Alien versus Predator is it's simply the power scaling. Pennywise is a omniscient being. He is literally a god. How are you going to, in any way, shape, or form, make the alien or the predators, the xenomorphs or the Yautja, be able to stand up to Pennywise? He is literally Satan in Stephen King's universe. His only rival is a giant tortoise, or turtle, sorry. So I think the power scaling dynamic there just doesn't make sense. You've spoken about, obviously, how you want the humans to be afraid of Pennywise, but it just doesn't work because the power is like, how are you going to make a little bionicle fight God? It doesn't work. So I think the idea is cool in theory, but it practically doesn't come together. And I think you have the exact same issue with The Thing, because it is such a huge character in regards to its abilities to adapt and everything like that. It's one big power being its ability to adapt, which is so similar to the Xenomorph. but also it's not marketable. There's no way to present the Thing as a character. And what works with Alien and Predator is they are the two most iconic looking aliens. How are you going to market a character you can't even see? There's a reason why the movie poster for The Thing is just light shining off of a man in this pose, because the Thing doesn't have a presence. How are you going to market it when you can't even see it? And I think those are the two big issues with both your choices.
I feel like what you brought up was a very valid point. However, not as valid as you might think it might be, because power scaling issue isn't an issue unless you look at it as an issue. I feel like it might actually be a benefit because Predator is an innate predator. It's in the name. The xenomorphs are also predators. With this power scaling issue, you would have to force them to be the prey, and that might be the interesting perspective shift.
Tell me how that's interesting. Where do the humans exist anywhere in this film?
Of course they do, just like Aliens versus Predators. And that would also make it more interesting when they have to balance they have to fend off against the sci-fi of Predator and the aliens, and also the supernaturalness of Pennywise. Essentially like Doctor Doom. He's the character that's both magic and
They're
science
just
put
too
together.
different. They're genuinely just too different, because like the closest you'll ever get to Pennywise working in the Alien universe is like when you take the It miniseries with Flip, I forgot his name.
Curry.
Yes. And he becomes a giant spider at the end. That's the only time you're really going to get characters that can interact with each other fairly.
I think, a very fundamental weakness with Pennywise is that his power comes from not some outside force into him, but as a consequence of your fear and what you believe he can do. The xenomorph and the predator don't give a fuck. They don't have
That's what you might think, but maybe that's
fear.
also what makes it interesting.
Because
the idea that whatever it is the predator might fear could actually be resembled within Pennywise.
A predator's
Because at the end of the
biggest
day,
fear-
they are a civilization.
a predator's biggest fear is dishonoring his people. They're honor bound.
And as for your toy, the only real thing it has going for it is the fact that it would be fanfare. So you'd have a lot of
The entire
nostalgic
Alien
fans
versus
showing
Predator
up.
Wait, I wanna hear
universe
more
is
from Paul.
fanfare.
They would be showing up to the cinema simply because you're shouting back to Arnold versus Predator again. And that's really all it has, because the xenomorph will destroy the T-800 quickly.
The
Acid,
only thing...
gone. The Predator is a studied creature of intuition. The Terminator is a program. Look at your attitudes towards artificial intelligence. Tell me, do you think nature or that is a better bet for one another?
So I like what you've said there when you're talking about artificial intelligence. Watch Terminator 2 and tell me you don't see how the T-800 is able to rise up against threats which are supposed to be bigger than it. The T-1000 is supposed to be this incredibly powerful Terminator, yet the T-800 defeats it. In the same way, he'll be able to use
all the Alien
his
sequels and see how, despite all efforts, by the best technology, Alien keeps coming back.
Okay, make this, Paul, turn this into your closing argument.
The Thing does have presence. That's why it has such presence. It doesn't even have a classical face. It has that iconic image, because the Thing can adapt to everything the Terminator tries to do. It can surpass even what Pennywise has. The Thing does not have psychological fear. So when it faces up against the xenomorph, it can simply adapt to what the xenomorph is and do what it does better. The same can be said for Predator. So I think the Thing stands a very good chance in that situation.
Brilliant closing. Duncan, give us yours.
My biggest problem with the Terminator is that Paul actually brought it up in better words than I was thinking. The word I was just going to use is generic. It's kind of the obvious answer to what these classic 80s monsters would have to face. It's obviously like, what's another one? Let's go with the Terminator. And then it's basically just Arnold Schwarzenegger up with his guns against Predator and an alien, when it just feels a little bit limiting. I feel like there's more creativity that can be taken with this opportunity. And my biggest argument with the Thing, actually, no, before I get to that, you two brought up the fact that Predator doesn't fear anything. And in doing so, you kind of proved how Pennywise can actually be nerfed into actually making him a formidable foe for the two of them. Because now he's not this omnipotent god, Satan himself. Now he actually does have a limiting factor, and that might be what makes it interesting.
That's good. Caleb?
So I didn't say the Predator doesn't have fear. I said his greatest fear is the fact that he is honor bound and he doesn't want to break that honor. But obviously, you get Yautja that don't care about following honor. That's why you get bad bloods. So, sorry, that's some deep lore cuts for you. But I think across the board, the biggest issue I have with both of your choices is character motivations. Why is the Thing involved in this trio other than the fact that the Thing needs to live? It's its natural being is to adapt, which is the xenomorph. The xenomorph needs to adapt. That's why you get all these different types of it. So there is no initial conflict between the two of them besides we need to adapt. There's no motivation from them as characters. Whereas with the Terminator, there is. Skynet needs to survive, and it sees that the xenomorphs and the predators are threats to that. The power scaling is equal. And we all know, why does Alien versus Predator exist? Because it was all fan service. It literally started out as a comic book. The producers were like, damn, that fan service made money. How can we make it more fan servicey? Add the Terminator. Everything works perfectly across the board. Power scaling, character motivations, and just general action.
Okay. That was a very good round. I think they are...
Oh, I'm shaking. Oh, no.
three genuinely good answers, and I like that each one of them takes a very different angle. If it was a round of passion, turn that into what you will, Caleb would have taken the point. And I think, Duncan, yours is just too out there. I do agree that it's slightly too out there. I love the creativity of it, but it's too out there, and it just becomes too problematic as a story, as Caleb pointed out. I think when Caleb's studying for the next one because he knows he ain't getting this one. I think when Paul started rebutting both of you, it became very obvious that he had the best answer here. He had the best answer going in, and he defended it the best, because who doesn't want to see what the Thing does, attaching body parts of predators and aliens and getting creative with it, and this idea of the predators hunting the unhuntable. It just makes for such a good premise, and that is the only movie I'd really want to watch of the three of you. And yeah, I just really love how you shut down your opponents for that reason, Paul absolutely gets the first point. Really good answer. The only better answer I could think of is what's the rock guy in Fantastic Four?
No, you ruined my joke. Damn it.
Johnny.
But well done, Paul. That's one zibber, and we will go on to question 2. The only thing more important than how a movie starts is how it ends. A good ending, and more specifically that final line, can make or break the entire 90 minutes to 2 hours you just sat through. So tell us, what is the best final line in a movie? And we will start with Paul.
So I chose Jake Gyllenhaal's final lines in the movie Nightcrawler, where his character Lou addresses new interns that he pulled together as part of his production company, and he tells them and he gives them a rolling speech about how things are going to work, and he ends it off by saying, and remember, I will never ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And why this carries so much weight is because if you watch the movie until this point, you realize that there's very little that he wouldn't do. You know, he absolutely defies human morality and carries it with such suave that he seems normal, that he seems like an approachable, empathic human being, which is what these interns are now being a part of. He's absorbing unsuspecting humans into his completely sociopathic web that you know all about, and you know this is never going to end, and they have no idea what they're in for. And it's just so incredible how such a simple and unassuming line can take, you know, such form. And that's the magic of movie making. It's the subtext. It's the what's inside of what you're saying rather than what you're saying. And yeah, that's why it's my choice. Just the meaning within it. It's incredible.
Awesome answer. Duncan.
Just because mine is longer, I'm going to have to read it.
It's fine. I'll let you.
Mine is Optimus Prime in 2007's Transformers. I am Optimus Prime, and I send this message to any surviving Autobots taking refuge amongst the stars. We are here. We are waiting. This line basically just sets the franchise to be what it is about. It basically just sets the entire story going forward. Just off of that line, you can retrospectively just see that he was telling you what the rest of the movies are going to be. The Autobots being refugees, finding a new home on Earth and falling in love with the best parts of humanity, acknowledging the worst but still loving the best, and deciding that this is going to be their new home. They will do anything to defend it. that was just beautiful. What Peter Cullen did as a voice actor, the delivery was insane. And forget subjectively what's the best way to end a film. It's also just objectively one of the most iconic. I struggle to really remember any. Obviously there are, but I struggle to remember like others on the same level as Transformers, because it became this social media, like it became a trend, it became a joke, but everybody remembers the song, exactly the song that plays afterwards. Any other line delivery at the end of a movie, you can maybe remember the song, but just because all of that was just constructed so well, everybody remembers it. Everybody can close their eyes and remember exactly how it happened. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome answer. Caleb.
So I've chosen the final line from The Prince of Egypt, and I love that film. I genuinely get emotional and cry every time I watch that film. And I think the final line, which I'll tell you guys now, does the best job of any film I've ever watched in regards to capturing the themes of the movie, concluding all of the character arcs and motivations, and to really just close the story on such an emotional and uplifting note. And that's when Zipporah looks to her husband Moses and says, "Look at your people, they're free." And that's the conclusion of a film that is so powerful, where you see this character defy his country, defy his brother, because God gives him a mission. And it's not necessarily what he wants to do, but he knows that it's what's right. And he goes out and he loses his family in the goal of saving his people. And you can see in that moment that he is heartbroken about the fact that he has had to say goodbye to his brother. But then his wife tells him, "Look at your people. Look at these millions of people you have saved. They are free because of you." And that's beautiful. And it's a fantastic conclusion to what the entire film is about.
Awesome. Fired it out. How was my Peter Cullen?
So you're wrong. It was not a conclusion. As we all know, the story of Moses continues with a lot of suffering. So whereas mine is a conclusion and very much also insinuates an ongoing universe like Optimus Prime, but we all know what that universe is going to be, and there's never a sequel that comes and ruins that anticipation. So it has just so much more weight, and frankly, why?
So let me wait. I agree. We'll both pick on Duncan later. But what I want to say about yours is, you said, but obviously it's the conclusion to the film. So the way your speech ends is, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Now let's go and film a bunch of bad stuff. Like yours also says there will be more to the story. Mine is the conclusion of the story of Exodus. It is the conclusion of we have left our people. There is more story, yes, but in regards to the movie, The Prince of Egypt, that is the end of the movie. If you want to look at extended source material, you can. But guess what? The Prince of Egypt isn't the Bible, okay? And so your film, I think this is also just we'll talk about Duncan now, but I think this is also inherently where...
Duncan's getting nervous.
Yeah. I think this is inherently just also where Paul and I have a different outlook on life, because your ending speech to me is terrifying. It's a man ultimately saying, guess what? I don't care about you as people. And that puts me in a downer. Your film literally goes, look at this piece of crap human who genuinely wants to make money and will use people as tools. And yes, that's the point of the film, but it's not, for me, something that makes me want to watch the movie or tell people about the story. It's a depressing ending. Can we talk about how stupid Duncan's answer is right now?
How was my movie stupid?
Well, put it this way. You even mentioned one of the best things about the ending to your film is actually the song, not the speech itself.
I never said I insinuated that. That was just one of my
That's
many
what people
points.
remember.
That was one of my many points.
And also, visually, we're too busy watching Sam and Michaela make out on top of Bumblebee.
He says, Kayla, chill. He says,
hey, Kaylee boy.
He says that's what people remember. They remember the song. 5 minutes before, he said, I can say it off by heart. I'm the guy who knows it. And then you proceed to say that
because I studied
the song. No, you didn't study. You are a big fan of the best things in life, and you remember my...
And I will tell you this.
What?
The fifth speech from Transformers 5 is better than the speech in Transformers 1. Speech. Because that is when Optimus Prime has decided that Earth is his home, despite all the
You watched
hardships.
the fifth one, and you remember the
I
fifth.
know all, yeah.
Well, clearly this movie did so well at ending that this guy was like, I'm going to watch every single
Yeah, the fifth one ended real bad, actually.
ended real
The fifth one
bad.
ended terribly, but the ending speech was great.
Oh,
no, the
wow.
fifth film in general is bad. But
Wow.
honestly, let's not kid around. I love Transformers. I really do. Why do you think I didn't choose this? Because the main focus is Sam and Michaela making out on top of Bumblebee, a sentient creature. And obviously, the end credit song is the most memorable part. That's the meme. The meme isn't, I am Optimus Prime. No, the ending speech is, what I've done. That's what people remember. That is what people remember.
You can't say that is what people remember.
That is what
just
you didn't even remember your own speech.
Okay, Duncan's turn.
Oh, jeez. Now, what were your options? I'm so heated now.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's just fetching for peaches in a great vineyard.
Peaches, I don't even know what that means. Bro. I'm not even gonna lie.
It means that my line in Nightcrawler, it was not selected for its philosophical values and its morality, as has been argued.
Okay.
It's for the subtext, which, if you listen to Caleb's argument, everything has to do with his own subtext to the line in
A lot of his
Egypt.
answers are very literal, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no,
They're
Which
very, like, this
strengthens
is
the
what the movie's
reason
about.
why Nightcrawler's final line was as strong as it was, because it's not about the morality of the person. You know, there were other choices, but I chose that one for today. You know, so that argument is
Okay, Caleb, final
spirit
argument.
level. But yeah, Optimus Prime's speech is just an SOS. Let's just be honest.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and a
With
good one at
Michael
that.
Bay's flavor.
Yes, and a good one at that. One of his
Why
very
is it
few
good?
fantastic films.
Okay, tell us why it's good. You can do the final argument first now.
Why is it good? Now I have to say everything I said in the beginning.
You don't have to. I have a very good memory. You can say what you want to say. Don't let him manipulate you.
My favorite thing about that movie, and especially the way it ended, is that it's everything it is supposed to be and it doesn't strive to be anything more. That movie is a blockbuster action film aimed at young people. You have two hot people making out on top of a very good looking car and a giant robot telling everyone that, hey, this is our new world. We are going to do everything we need to do to protect it. That movie is iconic and it doesn't strive to be more than it is. And funny enough, Vincent and I were already having this conversation previously last week at a wedding,
Yeah.
I think, talking about how, well, I guess the conversation was really about how hot Megan Fox was in that movie. But the fact that we could even
I
remember...
disagreed. That was my take.
Oh, no. You literally said that... What did you... If she
I
was,
said she was Kim Kardashian before Kim Kardashian.
Okay, yeah, she's a hot woman, so it makes my point. But the fact that we're having that conversation and we ended up speaking about Transformers in such a
Yeah.
nostalgic memory, a nostalgic moment, and we both felt good in that conversation while we were both walking to the bathroom. I remember it very vividly.
Why are you walking to the bathroom
We
talking
had
about
a
hot
very-
girls?
What we do in the bathroom is our business. But we were having a very nice, hot is a little bit over dramatic, but we were having a very nice nostalgic moment just talking about how great that movie was. And I feel like that's just what that line represents today. The nostalgia's, it's insane. So,
Yeah. Caleb, did I give you yours yet? No, go.
No, I'll go. I think the fact that your closing argument just devolved into talking about how hot Megan Fox was kind of just makes my point for me. It feels like just selfless fluff. And as I said, like in your point, like, yes, we will take different things out of our speeches because you and I are hardwired differently. But I think why you like the film so much is why I dislike the film so much. And yes, it's a good character study, but it's just not memorable to me. It doesn't please me. And that is just where art is subjective. But if I want to tick off boxes when it comes to final speeches, I want to see how does my final speech or final line in a movie tie up character development, tie up the themes of the movies. How does it leave the audience feeling? What is the movie trying to say? And I think The Prince of Egypt does the best job with that. Look at your people. They're free. That's beautiful.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you are right in saying Nightcrawler is the Sith Lord version of, it's the opposite. It's not your people are free, it's they're not free. And I think, it's not a reflection of what I admire or don't admire. It's just that it's necessary to create art that creates a sense of awareness of what really motivates people like that. And so it doesn't make it irrelevant just because we're studying an evil character. You know, it is horrifying, and it's precisely that horror that is stated in so few words. People like that are always charming, are always able to climb straight into you. And that's the strength of that line of dialogue.
Yeah. That is the end of that round. It's so tough. Yes, I am. So a little behind the scenes, not his behind the scenes. The goal of the host of the episode is obviously to also create an entertaining show while being fair, and so we always kind of want the points to spread out. I don't think that's going to happen for this question, because I'll go off the bat. I think Paul gets the second point, which rarely happens back-to-back points so early on. Here's my reason. So I am of the rare type of person that feels strongly about both movies mentioned here. Nightcrawler is probably in my top maybe 30 or 20 movies of all time. Maybe that's hard, but I love it. I think it's an incredible movie. And I remember reading your line for your answer, and it just immediately made me smile, because thinking back of that movie, it's a beautiful encapsulation of the entire film. The truth is, yours does the same, but I think you nitpicked too much on the morality thing, because movies you don't watch movies that align with your morality, in the sense of oftentimes you watch, like, for instance, I love reality TV because I like to see what people do in situations I'll never be in, because it's like a character study, and Nightcrawler is an excellent character study, and that line encapsulates it beautifully. I do love your line, and I do think it's extremely powerful, and I do disagree. The song is a big part of it, yes, but the line is... and please read me the literal final sentence of your line. There's something I want to double check, because Caleb says the meme is the song, and I want to see if I'm right or wrong. What's the last thing he says?
Does the word come or come and show
No,
up?
that comes from Transformers 4.
Just wanted to make sure. That's all I'm saying, is there's another meme born from his speeches.
I know my Transformers.
You know what's the biggest problem with what you said is it sets up all these
it's a
other
cash grab.
movies, and then I'm like, yeah, but they literally just suck after that. So I think your line is great, but it also isn't like one line. So it got too messy for me, and I think Paul just cuts to the heart of this question, I would say. And that's why he gets the point. That being said, and I find myself saying that too much lately on these episodes, but I think it's a reflection of the amazing guests we're getting on, is that there's no clear winner ever. It's really neck and neck, but we must judge fair, and we must give points fairly. So there's my little justification for you as we head on to question 3. Stop winning everything, Paul. Song Sung Blue just came out, which is about an actor pretending to be a musician, pretending to be a musician. But what if a musician pretended to be an actor? I know, crazy. Tell us then, what is the best film about or starring a musician? And we will start with Paul.
So I chose Only Lovers Left Alive. The film is more explicitly speaking around vampires, around people that have lived very, very long. And you know, we always hear of characters like Dracula and the likes that live forever. And this film explores that beautifully, where the main character, one of the two, has decided to grasp with the existential crisis of living for as long as he has and seeing the world change over and over by creating music. And he becomes the encapsulation of an obsessive artist. And so Jim Jarmusch, who made the film, obviously also scored the film himself, and much of that score is written into the character playing it diegetically and non-diegetically. It's exceptional. It's not in the traditional sense about a musician, but the music is a fundamental part of the entire film. The character is through and through an alchemist and a musician that has learned and extrapolated upon very complex different forms of music, and it follows him from start to finish in the film, and it is so just deeply woven into who he is. So I think it was a very unique expression of that. The film could be categorized as a semi-musical, so yeah, that was my choice.
Awesome. Caleb?
So I'm going to go with Better Man. I think Better Man, don't go, oh, the film with the monkey. Yes, the film with the monkey, yes. But it's so much more than that. People look at it and go, why is there a CGI monkey? It is such a revolutionary film, in my honest opinion, about how a celebrity or a singer can look at themselves. And he talks about how he thinks he's just a circus monkey. People pay him to perform, and he feels like he's nothing but a clown. And it's such a deep exploration of what fame does to a person, about what the music industry does to a person. But it's not just a great analysis of characters. Across the board is fantastic. Amazing music, amazing choreography in the dances, fantastic CGI. There's an awesome action sequence which you wouldn't expect. So there's great, action choreography, and I think everything's together with such a nice bow. Fantastic performances. I don't think there is genuinely an aspect of this film you can look at and not go, that was done perfectly. So I'm going with Better Man.
Great answer, Duncan.
My movie is 8 Mile. And this movie does such a good job at telling the story about a person in a specific class dealing with specific issues, and thus obviously speaking to the politics of America at the time and specific Americans who have to live in poverty. It's a movie about perseverance and identity. Eminem obviously being a white person in a black genre, in a black culture, and also being a person living in a trailer park in American poverty. But it does a fantastic job at the fact that it's one of those movies, those few movies where it has a political message to say, or semi-political, social-political message to say, but never does it ever feel preachy. It just feels like a movie about a person dealing with certain issues and how does he get himself out of this pickle. The movie just does a fantastic job. All the songs, some of them are even like legendary. The guests who are supposed to be here many times that we just break out into random rapping sequences, just reciting the lines from reciting the lines from that movie, because it's just amazing. And one of my reasons for this is that, one of my reasons for this pick is also the fact that it's one of the biggest flexes by a musician in the cinematic field ever seen. Eminem made an biographical film 4 years into his mainstream career. That is insane. That is unheard of. And people came to watch it. Not only did he make that movie, but he won an Oscar for it, for Best Original Song for that movie.
It was Lose Yourself, right? Sorry,
Lose Yourself. So it was Lose Yourself. Not only did he win the Oscar, but he also didn't even attend the Oscars because rumor has it, I don't know how true it is, but he prioritized spending time with his daughter, or he had to be somewhere with his daughter. And not only that, but he made that movie and he left. He literally came, conquered, and he left. He didn't care about necessarily progressing his career in filmmaking like other musicians would do, like your Lady Gagas and Jared Leto's and all these other people. He said, I wanted to do this thing. He came, he did it. He saw success that other just regular filmmakers haven't seen. And then he left. To me, that just speaks to Eminem and hip hop in general. It's just a flex.
Fantastic opening argument. Fight it out.
So basically what makes 8 Mile great for you is that it's universally celebrated by the masses.
Not only that, it tells a very compelling story about perseverance and identity. He's persevering through his economic challenges, but also his identity challenges, being the only white person in the black genre.
We could say the same for Better Man.
That was my first point.
He's living in poverty. It doesn't speak to classes.
No, I mean,
it has its identity
we always
issues.
discriminate against the rich. No one empathizes with them. Everyone feels sorry for poor people.
That's just a difference in opinion. You can watch it and have empathy for the poor people. You can watch a movie and have empathy for Darth Vader. That's your opinion. If you want to hold that opinion, you can feel free to hold it.
Just so that we don't digress too much, Robbie Williams was on the poorer side of life. Just saying.
Okay, fine.
Which, yeah, there you have it.
So okay, I think I'll agree with Paul there. I think everything that you like about 8 Mile, except for the music, you can actually attribute to Better Man, because that's the exact same fundamental story about an artist who doesn't have much, that is struggling with his finances and his, social economic state. Oh, I felt like Jaden Smith there.
He'd be so proud.
And it's about how he's pursuing getting out of that via art. The only difference is mine's a CGI monkey, and he does pop music.
What are the socio-economic issues it touches on, Better Man?
Well, it focuses on class and elements. It does also, and it also has a heavy focus on identity, which you've also touched on.
In which aspect? In which aspect of?
In
identity?
a lot of aspects. No, so obviously we
don't focus too much on the socio-economic state.
I don't think any of us are going to win by talking about the socio-economic political states of the world right now. But I do think a lot of the themes, Like, I'm not saying your film is better because it has this theme and this theme and this theme, and my movie's only got this theme and this theme. I'm just saying they are similar. Where I do think, and I don't want to upset Paul, but where I do think that our films might adhere to the question a little bit better is that music or musicians are a core part of it. Whereas I think your film shares as much with music as The Crow does. And I'm saying that because The Crow has a deep-seated history with music. And if anyone, talks about The Crow online, one of the first things people talks about is Brendan Lee dying, and then how good the music was, and how music is important to the DNA of the film. But you don't automatically think of that. And I think your film does a great job of going, look, we're vampires, and music is a very important part.
The first thing anyone thinks about when they think about Only Lovers Left Alive
vampires.
Is the soundtrack. It literally starts with a guitar that emulates the sound of a star, which there's an entire mythology around. It encapsulates the world that Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton's characters see throughout the film. All the themes they explore throughout it, every reason for staying alive when you've made so many accomplishments, you've seen so many great things. Now what?
Yeah, so I love your film. I love your film. And I think also starring John Hurt, who's one of my favorite actors ever. There's like very few, none of us have bad films. And I love your film. I really do.
Yeah,
but I don't think of your film.
I don't hate 8 Mile either. I saw you getting a little angry there for a moment.
No,
I think,
there was something else that triggered me, but it's something so random.
But I think the big thing is like, and this is kind of like where I
close it. That's Duncan's fault. Don't worry. He's going to get a nice, short and sweet closing.
Okay, cool. Who's closing, me or Duncan?
You close.
Okay, I would just like to say across the board, and I mean this with every fiber of my body, across the board, Better Man is just a fantastic film. From performances to character to the CGI. I mentioned this all in my opening. Across the board, it's fantastic. But also, you can't remove music from the story. You can't remove the fact that it's about a musician from the film. And that's why I think specifically Better Man is the perfect answer for this question.
Perfect.
Paul.
No.
I don't know why.
No, you know what, Duncan?
I'll tell you what to do.
I'm sorry.
Go for it, Paul.
Everything you just said is also applicable to my film and Duncan's film. So
there's no CGI monkey.
No, but there's Tom Hiddleston playing drums and Tilda Swinton in a hypnotic sequence of the two of them connecting across the ocean psychically and erotically. So I think that's in the same realm as a CGI monkey. I don't know, I'd say that's quite wonderful. But yeah, I would just say that the entire, I don't want to say anything against 8 Mile, because honestly, yeah, but I still think Only Lovers Left Alive is better. For its unique approach, it's got nothing to do with a mainstream person anymore. And it's not because it's underground that it has virtues. It's just simply, it's a very unique story. It's a very sentimental story. It explores very deep themes about human beings and why we do what we do, why we continue into everything. And music is so fundamental. It drives the whole story, the editing, the sound, the feeling, the texture of the entire world is driven by that and by the absence of it, which is stillness. And that's what I can say for Only Lovers Left Alive.
Awesome. Duncan, short and sweet.
Short and sweet. My biggest problem with the suggested movies, again, all our movies are great, but with Better Man is that despite it being a fantastic film, I remember watching it and being like, wow, I didn't expect this movie to be this good. It is a good film. None of us brought bad films. But one thing that I feel like my film has above yours is the fact that yours kind of relies on a gimmick. And when I say gimmick, I don't want to make it sound demeaning necessarily, but the fact that it is a CGI monkey is what made people look in that direction in the first place and be like, why does this have a CGI monkey? Holy smokes. Whereas with my film, it's just telling a very real story, so real that it is based on the main character's actor's real life. And it's just doing that, it's built, it's embedded in reality. And the score was just amazing, so amazing it had to get awarded critically and just about by the fans.
I was so entranced.
And now he's broken.
Okay. I must say, Duncan, I haven't gotten as lost in an opening and closing argument as much as I did in yours this round. So much that I forgot about Darth Vader, and I was enjoying the story you were telling with your opening argument. That's why I didn't cut you short, and I enjoyed it. So you get the point for this one. I'll elaborate more. I just really liked it. The truth is, Better Man is probably my favorite movie from last year. That and Wicked and a few others. Fantastic year for music last year. And it's so tough for me not to give it to Better Man, but I think you encapsulated that musician spirit so nicely and telling, giving the little stories and lose yourself and all that stuff. I think I think just you had such good rhythm with your opening argument. If something had to push Better Man over because it was close, it might have been just highlighting how it brought back Robbie Williams into mainstream music. I think if you maybe touched on that, but I can't say that for certain. I think it would have been hard to win anything against Duncan's opening argument. It's tough for me with It's Only Lovers Left Alive, right? It's so tough for me to judge that unbiasedly. I found myself getting extremely sick of Tilda Swinton's face recently. Fantastic actress, but vastly overcast in roles that don't suit her. And I just, when I think of the two of them together, and I think there wouldn't be an episode of Plot Armor where Paul doesn't talk about long distance ocean sex. The psionic, it was beautiful, and I love how you describe it. And I'll be honest, I've never seen it, and I didn't even know it exists, which isn't something I frequently encounter, is not knowing a movie exists. And I'll definitely want to watch it, but I think the spirit of musician in a movie, you just captured it nicely for me. And I mean, even Paul himself said it's tough to go against that. So I think it's a point well deserved, Duncan. Well done. Let us go. Well done. Let us go into question 4. You all went to film school in pursuit of movie magic greatness. You took in each lecture and surely didn't miss a single class, right? So you are more suited than anyone to tell us which movie should be shown at every film school, and we will start with Caleb.
So obviously, the point of film school is to teach people how to make films good. And I remember watching Hacksaw Ridge, which is my answer, and leaving the cinema going, that's a movie I want to make. There is not a single element of the film I didn't love. It somehow blends a ton of different genres, from romance in the first act, even comedy in the first and second act, action, but then also horror. Like, it's very rare you watch a horror film and you're not entertained, you're terrified. And there is not I remember also, that was the first time I properly sat in a cinema and was encapsulated by the sound. The sound design is incredible. I very rarely react emotionally to a film within the first 10 minutes because I'm just generally a big blockbuster person. And there was nothing overly emotional or powerful within the first 10 minutes. It's just that it was, for all intents and purposes, a work of art. And that's why I would say there's no part of that film you can't dissect and teach people on. I could make 100 lessons on why Hacksaw Ridge is the perfect film to try, emulate, and study. And I would still have another 100 lessons after that. So I'm going with Hacksaw Ridge.
Awesome. Duncan?
I chose Parasite because it does an amazing job. You guys know me. Everything goes back to politics with me. But it does an amazing job, again, similar to 8 Mile, with speaking, but this movie actually speaks on politics more in your face, but at the same time doesn't feel preachy. It's a movie that does a great job at communicating a political message without making you feel like you're watching a TED talk or somebody rant at you. At the end of the day, it's still a movie about people living a struggling life, a father trying to take care of his family, children trying to take care of their parents, and getting angry at the rich actually getting angry at the poor, and that dynamic it feels amazing. It does a great job at genre blending as well. It feels like a drama, but you find yourself laughing in some moments, so it is a comedy as well, and it also does turn into a thriller. And that twist of turning into a thriller is also my third point. It would be great to put this film into all film schools because as a person who went to a film school, I know better than most that everybody who goes to film school, the majority is people that only watch American and only want to replicate American. This movie would do such a fantastic job at also not only just showing you what a good movie looks like, but also what is possible outside of America. Because when the thriller in Parasite is introduced, it takes on what's the word I'm looking for? It's a style of Eastern writing, storytelling called makjang, which is where in America you have the hero's journey, but in East Asia, you have a type of storytelling where there is a story going one way and then there is a complete plot twist in the middle. And then it kind of feels like you're watching a completely new movie. That is common in Korean and Japanese and Chinese films. And that also shows it introduces the different things you can do with cinema when you're not just locked into American Western filmmaking.
Awesome. You kind of brought makjang into your argument there. And I'll explain why later. Paul.
So I chose On the Silver Globe by Andrzej Żuławski. I remember there being this kind of almost neurotic fixation on the French New Wave during the first 2 years at film school, so-called. And I could never understand why, because they really, sure, seminal and all that, but there's just so much else in the world. And I remember discovering Żuławski and being shocked that I'd never even heard of that name, if not by my own discovery, through the actual institution, which was shocking because he is a master of the craft and radical different form of storytelling that emerges from the area, which is Poland. And he did this in a time when there was tremendous Soviet oppression on the region. What you were allowed to say and not say was very tight, and he just said it anyway. He was a complete maverick, and that film was so controversial and provocative for the sake of speaking the truth. So penetrating in its evaluation of the world that we are living in, that they attempted to destroy it. They being the Department of Arts and Culture, further up into the Soviet Union themselves, they tried to destroy the film, and they went as far as to try and destroy his life. They blacklisted him. He couldn't work in the country. He had to move to France to survive. So that is something. But the sheer amount of passion he poured into the project at every single level, which was adapted from his great uncle's book, which at the time also received just as much flack from the Russians as the film, he ended up producing so much passion into the project that the crew risked themselves to preserve the film reels that some 14 years later, when they had thought it was all destroyed, it re-emerged and they were able to patch it together and release the film, even though it was only 85% complete. So I think that film is a testament to the craft itself, and it transcending simply an industry and transcending creative expression. It's an opportunity to completely transform the world, and that is why it's deemed so dangerous by authoritarian regimes and powers. And I think it's honestly insulting to not include it in a film school's curriculum.
Awesome. Fight it out, and Paul, you will get a shorter closing argument this time. Go for it.
Paul, my biggest issue with your argument was that it feels like this movie is so great to you, more so for the context around the film rather than the actual film itself. I feel like you were exaggerating the story around it, but you
no, hardly. The story is quite substantial.
You gave very minimal. You expressed very minimal interest into the actual film itself. It was more of. It feels like this should be more in a political class rather than a film school. I
will jump on what Duncan's saying as well, because your film is everything I actually love in film. Like it's niche and the subject matter is fantastic, but it was never even finished like as you said, it was 85% finished, and they had to, if I remember correctly about your film, it was banned by the government because obviously it was the Communist Party was in charge. And my biggest issue with that is if you're trying to teach people how to make movies, the first step should be finishing the movie, and your movie was never finished, which makes for a great story, but doesn't actually build any blocks in regards to, hey, I'm showing you this. And that's why I think like it's definitely worth talking about, but maybe in a political classroom and not a filmmaking classroom.
The entire argument for Parasite related back to politics, so it's strange because there were no comments on the techniques or actual filmmaking involved.
That was only half of my argument.
Well, what makes you think that was the whole of mine?
Because the amount of time spent on the politics of it. Mine was relatively 50-50.
Time
I
is
started
relative,
off on the
friend.
politics, but it
On
wasn't
the
even
Silver
about
Globe
the
has an exceptional concept.
My argument wasn't even about the politics. It was about the
It's
fact
about
that
the
the
origin of
politics
man.
was artistically communicated so well without making it feel preachy. So at the end of the day, it's still art, it's still story with just a political theme.
Well, this film wasn't preachy at all.
I think
It was about
preached a
astronauts
lot
crash.
about the politics around it.
Okay, speak about other movies.
Hello, Caleb.
Outside of.
I think to just take it back, what is the basics of this? What are we going to talk about in a film classroom? And I think that's why, again, I want to just talk about Hacksaw Ridge. You can bring up anything in regards to filmmaking, and Hacksaw Ridge just works. From the score to the set, just watch the costumes in that film. Everything feels so lived in, which if we watch Netflix properties, we know how badly they weather their stuff. But if you watch Hacksaw Ridge, you can see how much attention to detail is placed into the costumes alone. You can even talk about the direction and the art style and just recreating real stories. There's even a conversation that you can have in regards to how you adapt real life stories with honor and with integrity. And this film doesn't shy away from even the human element of it. How does this impact actual character development? It even touches on politics in not in a very surface level way. That's the wrong thing to say, not surface level, because the whole film is actually about the war. But politics almost feels secondary. There is political commentary, but it's about individuals in a war and how the war impacts them. So I don't think there's a single thing about this film that you can go, it didn't do the right job there.
Okay, Duncan, give me your final.
Oh, my final.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can say whatever you want to say.
Now my mind is all over the place. Okay, again, no bad movies, but with your movie Hacksaw Ridge, because I already spoke on Paul's, your movie Hacksaw Ridge, it's a great film, fantastic. It does amazing with set design, but everyone has seen American. So that's kind of like one point it loses. Whereas with my film, it does everything perfectly. And it has the added bonus of it being a foreign film. So that also introduces a whole new lesson on the multiple things that can be done when you look at film, not just from a Western American point of view, but from an Eastern or an African, us being non-Americans. We can learn in our schools, we can learn so much from watching foreign films, because all we watch, or for the most part, all we watch is Avengers and, Batman and all of these things. That's the one up I'd say it has above yours. And also the filmmaking of Parasite is also just so insane, because the way the director uses lines just to separate the poor from the rich in ways that at first you didn't even see, but subconsciously you could always feel a separation between these two characters just off of the way they're compositioned within the film. So it's just a 10 out of 10 film in every way. And it has the +1 of it being a foreign film, because in that there's another lesson for the students.
Awesome. Paul, close it out for us.
I would just like to extrapolate a bit on the actual other side of my argument. The story on the Silver Globe impacted me dramatically, as it just conveys the beginning of man. It's astronauts that crash on a planet and they can't ever go back. And they have to reproduce, and they find themselves teaching their offspring about what God is. And they all find that they have clashing ideas. So it is the entire idea of how people that come before you determine what you end up believing, and how even that changes in the descendants. The filmmaking was radical. It was one of the roughest things I've seen in terms of handheld, but it was still beautifully composed. If it wasn't shaking, you wouldn't know it was done that way. And it was done that way to convey the idea that it was all being recorded from the suit of the astronauts that they could send back later. It's a highly intelligent film on a technical and a creative level. The character dialogue is beautifully written. It's penetrating dynamics between the characters. There isn't a moment where you're not feeling alive. The political aspect is simply just a testament to the filmmaking was already great. The story was so transformative that it had to be stopped, not because the makers were incompetent. So, and to retort back to Hacksaw Ridge, you basically just described Pearl Harbor. Yeah.
Wow. I think everyone presented such an interesting, unique perspective that I kind of have to pick one. And I think I'll go, because the arguments are so good, I need to just go technical. And I think for that fact, I think Caleb probably just represented the question best in just giving us like a breakdown, especially in his opening argument of how many angles you can take on teaching and stuff. I think there are probably bigger lessons to be learned in your two movies, but if we have to force it to the film school perspective, where you're not trying to force necessarily a style of filmmaking, but give them the tools so that they can create the angle, because then they'll probably go on to create more interesting films like your two films. I love the sentiment that you bring with the non-English foreign film, because I'm very pro that, and I'm very pro go look outside of America for movies, because there's so many hidden gems in that fact. And I find the story that you've been sharing very compelling. The problem is just the story around it is so interesting, you can't help but spend a lot of time with it. So I don't blame you, but unfortunately it loses it in what this exact argument is. Just for my sake, because I wasn't familiar with the film you presented beforehand, but I find myself deeply intrigued. I'm curious in what decade was it released?
Released in the 80s, made in the 70s.
Interesting. So I do find myself deeply wanting to watch the movie you're talking about. So you might lose the point, but you gain the man, and that's all that really matters in this. But I think Caleb ticked the technical boxes well. And I love what you present with Parasite, but your filmmaking aspect of it felt a bit secondhand to the political commentary, which is just as valid, but not suited to what the question is here.
And a little ironic.
How so?
Considering that was a rebate on...
Yes, no, I also find it... So when he brought it up, I was like, oh, don't do that, Duncan. You fell victim to the same thing.
I'm not understanding.
Because both of you went too much in the political aspect, which is the more interesting aspect of this. It's how you started. Don't worry. Don't worry. Cool. You're on par with Caleb now.
If you would like to watch Paul's film, it is available on YouTube for free.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But very good argument, and I love that there are such unique perspectives brought here, which is great, but it's a perfect time to move on to question 5. Just as we do that, I will note that currently it is 1 Caleb, 1 Duncan, 2 Paul, which means Paul is guaranteed to make it into the speed round, and Caleb and Duncan, if one of them win this, will claim their spot in the speed round. Otherwise, there will be a speed round tiebreaker. Trailers have been shit for the longest time now, either misleading us or giving away everything. But still, there have honestly been some amazing trailers this year, and we want you to tell us which ones were the single best. And we are going to start with Duncan.
Best trailer I've seen this year would be The Long Walk. It's a trailer that kind of feels like embrace your limitations, in a sense that it really grabs you in. It really feels like it takes you on a journey, which is very fitting with the name, because it starts off as this kind of very wholesome movie about these young guys trying to start their lives. You know, they're excited about getting the money. And then as the trailer progresses, the stakes keep getting higher and higher until your heartbeat is literally just, it's pacing because of the suspense, because the stakes have just been risen so high. And now you feel like what started off as just a wholesome guys hanging out became I hope this person doesn't die. And it becomes gruesome, but in a way that, like, the pacing, like I said, it's just done so well. And at the same time, it embraces the limitations, because all of that happens and it takes you on this journey, and it's all just people walking, literally just doing the most with the little that you have. How talented of an editor do you have to be to make a story about I'm not even touching on the movie itself, just the trailer, just to make a trailer of people walking so interesting until it becomes one of, like, the most talked about movies of the year. So that is my pick.
Awesome. Caleb, you have put your whole heart into your frown, so you do your next one.
So I chose what is probably most people might sigh when I say this, but I'm going with the live action How to Train Your Dragon. Because what is the point of a trailer? It's to get butts in seats. And we know we don't make movies for money. We know we make movies for art. But the point of a trailer is to get butts in seats. And How to Train Your Dragon definitely did that. And I think what they did so well with the trailer is show you how faithful an adaptation it is to the original, which is why you watch a live action remake. You actually just want to see the animated once again, but in live action. And so they have a lot of homages in the trailer that make you go, I remember that from the animated film. I loved that in the animated film. But then it shows you everything that's new and that you can look forward to. You get the classic score, obviously, but then you get all of the new costumes, you get the new dragon designs. And so it's a perfect trailer to show you how to get butts in seats and how to basically red pill or blue pill. How about both? You get what you love and you get what you're not expecting. And I think How to Train Your Dragon did a great job of that.
Awesome. Paul?
I chose 28 Years Later. I don't like trailers, personally, that force you to feel things. You know, if you're watching a horror trailer, then scratches and smashes and jump scares and and when you're watching comedy, there's wholesome stringy music. There's all sorts of things that manipulate you into feeling and experiencing the thing a certain way. And I just think, you know, that the trailer is an emanation of the film itself, is the thing that calls you to the seat. So when you're doing that at a trailer level, you're communicating what your film is, what intelligence it's operating from. And I just thought 28 Years Later's trailer used silence very well, ambience on top of Foley, which is really refreshing. It's something I haven't seen in a very long time, and it was exciting to see that.
Yeah, awesome. Fight it out.
Can I just ask, which trailer are you referring to? The official trailer?
Yes.
Or, okay,
the
cool.
other
live
one,
action
The
one.
other
Yeah.
one is considered.
Yes, well,
we can consider that content.
Yes.
So
So
Not
trailer.
that
I would like
animated one.
I'd like to say no. The reason I ask is, firstly, the animated trailer is fantastic, which is mine, and that's the one you're referring to as content, which it is. But I would say what you described in regards to using Foley and silence more goes towards the teaser trailer. The official, like, proper trailer, if that's the one you're referring to, that one has obviously got the spoken word poem and flashes of imagery and everything like that. That doesn't actually give you a second to breathe. And I think is almost very closely what you described to when you watch a horror film, it tries to make you scary, or when you're watching a comedy, it's the light melodies and tunes. I'm terrified watching the 28 Years Later trailer. So I personally don't understand what point you're trying to make there. What I would like to say about Duncan's trailer is, yes, it's interesting to watch, but it gives far too much about the film away. Like, you can literally go, I know he's going to die. I know he's going to die. I know he's going to die. Because there's literally scenes, I'm like, there's only 3 people walking. That means the 7 other people that were walking are obviously dead as well. I don't need to watch the movie because the trailer kind of tells me who's going to live or die.
I felt like when I watched that trailer, I did see moments like that, but I never actually concluded that they were going to die because I hadn't seen the movie. So I didn't know if are they not there because they're dead, or is there something else that's going to happen in this movie? There's a lot of assumptions that I'm naturally going to make as the viewer of a trailer, because the whole point is that I'm not supposed to know.
That trailer made me not
happened.
want to watch the movie because I was like, you've given me too much information. I know too much about the film because of the trailer.
I never got that feeling at all. But with your movie, I feel like if the entire point is to get butts in seats, I feel like you went wrong by choosing a remake, especially this
But
era
which one
of
got the most
remakes.
butts in seats?
No, I'm just saying this era of remakes. I'm saying this era of remakes because nowadays when there's another remake, people already feel exhausted by these remakes. And a lot of people feel like, for an example, this recent Moana trailer that just came out, immediately the first question was, why?
Yeah,
this
but I'm not
movie's
arguing Moana.
that old.
I'm not arguing Moana.
I'm saying the same narrative. I did see the same narrative spread about How I Met Your Mother, How to Train Your Dragon.
Same thing.
So look, we can all agree.
Immediately,
in
a lot
regards
of
to
negative
remakes,
opinions was, okay, but it's not that old. It's not like Princess and the Frog or something, where it's just like,
That was a weird film for you to choose. All I'm saying is like, right now you're arguing about the state of remakes and movies, which I can see why you're arguing that. None of us here actually like remakes.
The thing is that How to Train Your Dragon is a shot-for-shot remake of the first trailer. You know, I mean, there's probably a difference here and there, but it's essentially the exact same thing.
It's a remake of the previous trailer.
It's just updated graphics.
So as I said,
nothing new. And so how, into this age of exhaustion, of recycling, how is that supposed to achieve seats?
So no, okay.
It's going to achieve studio closure.
Okay, look,
culture,
to simply answer your
hopefully.
question, if we're going to argue the whole butts and seats thing, which the three of us obviously all agree, the reason we make movies is not to get butts and seats.
But it's a
if we're
necessity.
going to argue butts and seats,
Well,
then
whether
we
like
know
years
who actually
latest
wins.
trailer-
It is How to Train Your Dragon. It got the most butts and seats. When we want to talk about also what the trailer is
Because it doesn't have
presenting
an
to the
age
audience,
restriction. Children.
if we're talking about what we want to put into trailers and revealing stories and stuff like that, and I love 28 Years Later, I really do. But the story is not present in 28 Years Later at all. If I watch 28 Years Later, I'm not going to go, well, that's obviously a story about a son and his mom. Like, the trailer is actually so scared of what the movie is, it deliberately shows you what it isn't because it's afraid that they're going to scare away potential viewers. Your trailer is afraid of its movie.
What?
No, it's the truth.
It shows you the atmosphere of the world. We all know what this is. If you've been awake over the last 20 years of your life, assuming that's the crowd that's watching this, you know, you immediately recognize the brand. You immediately recognize the world you're in. It doesn't have to tell you what it is. It just shows you what elements are going to be a part of this.
But if you watch 28 Years Later,
Final argument.
28 Years Later is actually so far removed from the 28 brand. You can't watch 28 days or 28 months and go, wow, stylistically, that's the same. So like you talking about the brand of 28, it just doesn't gel well with me because you can't possibly watch those three films and tell me that 28 years feels like 28 days or 28 months.
Weeks.
Thank you. In regards to The Long Walk, I think I still stand exactly with what I said earlier. Your trailer gives away far too much, whereas your trailer is afraid of what it wants to be in regards to what the movie is. As I said in my opening statements, I feel like my movie does a great job of, which we don't like, putting the butts in seats, but then also gives you the red pill and the blue pill. You want nostalgia, you can have it. You want something new, here, you can have it. It does the best of what it needs to do as a trailer.
Okay, Duncan grunted. You're next.
Snap. Okay. My biggest issue with How to Train a Dragon is that it's not a coincidence that once the movie was released, the biggest criticism of it was that it was a shot for shot the same as the original and thus kind of left the taste of like, why did we need this? But fine, that's the movie, that's not the trailer. But when the trailer dropped, and I did see this, and that's why I brought up Moana, I'm not arguing Moana, I'm just saying that the parallel between the two is that as soon as these trailers dropped, a lot of people were like, why? Why do we need this? Especially, why do we need this so soon? We don't miss the property. We still have the property. We still have the most recent sequel. There's kind of no point to it. That was the first narrative that I saw spread online once these trailers dropped. With your movie, Caleb and I have had multiple conversations talking about how much better the animated trailer is than the live action one. So your decision to choose the live action trailer, it's kind of like, why? When this one was literally right there, it's way more artistic, it's way more interesting, it has way more atmosphere despite it being animated. But you went with the live action one. It's kind of
That's quite ridiculous because if it that was
Is
your
this-
this.
Do you, before you continue, you can add anything else you want to add, and then Paul will finish.
Thank you.
Okay. Paul, please finish.
if that was the only trailer, that version you're talking about for 28 years later, would you know what it's about? Would you go, wow, that's a great. Aaron Taylor Johnson's in it, and that's what the world looks like. Oh, they shot it on iPhones. I'll know that by looking at this animated GIF. So, yeah, I don't know what you were trying to say there. And the thing about this is it's a mirror image of what it used to be, drawn by a kid on a piece of page with crayon. And your trailer, unfortunately, is quite revealing. The trailer does play on intrigue because it does start, as you said, in one place and it takes you in a completely different direction, which is cool. but it also does reveal just a bit too much to make it leave you with more questions than answers. And so that's why I still think 28 years later left me with far more questions, but enough to know that there's a context for me to desire an answer to this question by seeing it.
Yeah. You almost got him with your it doesn't reveal the mom-son thing, because actually that's something I dislike about the movie, even though I love 28 Years Later. But then that's actually not the question. The question isn't in relation to the movie that you saw, what trailer was the best. You should be able to win an argument here regardless of if you've seen the movie or not, I think. And I think based on the trailer itself, Paul argued the best. My issues with Long Walk's trailer is exactly what Caleb said. It's actually one of my least favorite trailers of the year. And you can ask him every premiere we go to, when the trailer comes on, I do this because I know I'm going to know. And like, it takes barely a keen eye to figure out that little Hoffman Jr. is going to, not Hoffman, Hoffman Jr. is going to make it, and you're just going to be able to piece together too much, and that's my issue with that. And I think fundamentally you were lying about what you were saying about your trailer, where you say that it offers nostalgia and something new. I don't think it has a single new thing to offer. I hate that movie, and I think it just genuinely gives you only nostalgia. I understand what you're going for, and I know it worked for a lot of people. Unfortunately, I'm just not in that grouping of people, so I am so inherently in the other side of things that I just fully disagree with what you're saying. And also, Paul took you down beautifully with your butts and seats, which is kind of the basis of your whole argument. And then he's like, yeah, because it's the only PG movie here, so of course it did. So I think, Paul, you broke it down, and I agree with you. I think the live-action trailer is far superior to the animated one. That is not a trailer, that is a featurette. So Paul gets the point.
I think what's crazy is because this is what we do for work, I don't think we've ever had contestants genuinely get angry with one another.
Yeah, I must say, it's the first time.
It's the first time where I'm like, F me, you're pissing me off. I love you, but shut the hell up. Like, oh, yeah.
No, it is interesting, and it's interesting what conversations come out of it, but we sit in a situation where Duncan has an epiphany. Do you want to say something?
I just want to say something.
Yes.
I've noticed this at the office, and I've properly noticed it now, but Paul has my favorite type of passive aggression.
Yes.
Oh, yes, 100%.
My opinion on this. He couldn't even say guy. He couldn't say this guy. It was just this thing here.
Yeah, no.
I love you, Paul.
I fully agree, and I think it scratches the itch that needs to be scratched in order to win points. Because Paul sits on 3 and you two sit on 1, which means that you will have to compete with with a tiebreaker speed round question to determine who will go up against Paul. So regardless of what happens, Paul will lead by 2 points. So unless you royally screw it up and cannot comprehend 20 seconds, you are kind of set up to win this. So good luck. This could also be a great underdog story, so anything could happen. Now, for the viewers who don't know, because I know these gentlemen are aware, a speed round works in the way that each of you will be asked a question, sometimes this or that, sometimes open-ended. Shout out the answer when you have one. That will determine who goes first. You'll have 20 seconds to argue your point, 15 seconds for your rebuttal, and then I will make a decision. Paul, you can't weigh in because you can't choose your own opponent in this. Are you ready? Okay, so as I get the clock ready, I know this question off by heart because I have a strong answer about it. Unfortunately, you guys know me well enough to know what that answer is, but I am not going to be biased in this. This is a this or that question. Whatever you get left over, please fight for it with your whole heart because this will make or break whether you go forward. The question is, should aspiring filmmakers go to film school?
No.
Okay. You wanted to say yes, it sounded like. So let's pretend you did. Well, you say it's yes, so either way. So okay. So Caleb, I heard you first. Your 20 seconds starts in 3, 2, 1.
I went to film university and I left after 1 year because I genuinely did not learn a single thing. I've seen a lot of people go to film universities and not end up pursuing that career either because they hate it or because they become so cardboard cutouts of each other that creativity is limited. I think it might be beneficial to maybe learn the beginnings of things and the stepping stones.
Stop. Okay. Duncan, 20 seconds in 3, 2, 1.
The very first thing my first directing lecturer ever told us, he put us all in a classroom and he told us, he looked us in the eyes and he said, I cannot make you a filmmaker. You have to go outside and you have to shoot for yourself to make yourself a filmmaker. I feel like film school is good for everyone because it gives you the opportunity to experience film school, get to know the community, make connections.
Okay. Caleb, 15 seconds in 3, 2, 1.
Your film director basically said university can be useful, but you don't need it because film universities will not make you a movie maker. And I think that's what we all kind of stand for here. We stand for creativity, and you don't learn creativity at a university.
Time. Okay, Duncan, 15 seconds in 3, 2, 1.
Film universities are good because they give you community, but at the same time, it's also a place that lets you learn from other people that have more experience than you, but also at the same time, they also let you know that you, at the end of the day, have to take the knowledge that we're giving you and you have to apply it in your everyday.
Sure. This is tough because...
Can we high five Duncan?
Yeah, no, high five that. You both did a fantastic job at representing both sides. Everyone that knows me knows that I'm very anti-film school. I didn't go there at all, and I'm still pursuing filmmaking, absolutely. But I approached this unbiasedly. And from an unbiased standpoint, there were certain boxes I needed to be ticked from film school. Also, why do you keep calling it film university? What's up with that?
Well, yeah, no,
Okay, look, listen,
I didn't finish it. I don't know if it's a college or a university or a tertiary education station.
School would have been fine, but it's
School.
But honestly, honestly,
Film crash.
film crash. Okay, Duncan gets the point. Not because of that. But Duncan... No, he's so sad. Duncan, you do get it, not because of that, but I felt it was a good time to give it to you. The reason why you get it is because I felt you adequately ticked the boxes of, yes, you're going to have to do it yourself, but let's equip you to do it yourself. Because at the end of the day, film school doesn't determine, and now I'm just getting philosophical, but film school doesn't determine whether you make films or not. You determine that, but film school can certainly help in equipping you to do that. And I think you covered that well. Not necessarily what I 100% believe, but I think that's a picture you painted beautifully. And it could have gone either way. I just liked how it closed. And maybe it was a good thing that you went last because maybe it's recency bias. But well done. So that means it is Paul and Duncan. Duncan, be aware that it is 2-0 because you went into it with 1 point. Paul went into it with 3. So Paul, if you win 2 questions, then you win. That might change on how that works. We will do the math with our calculator brains. But essentially, you have an uphill battle, Duncan, and we will see what happens. So, 2-0, and we are going into the first question of the speed rounds showdown. Question 1. This is a yes or no as well. So, first answer, first serve. Is going to the cinemas a good first date?
No.
Okay, Paul, you're stuck with yes. Duncan, I heard you first. And your 20 seconds starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
If the purpose of the first date is to get to know the person and get to create an establishment with the person, it's not really the best idea to sit in a dark room and face one direction and absolutely not speak to each other for a full 2 hours. I mean, you get to experience time with the person, but you don't really get to build connection with the person. And you guys don't know if you're even gonna like the movie.
Okay. Paul, 20 seconds in 3, 2, 1.
I conversely think it's a fantastic idea to take someone to the cinema, especially if something controversial is screening, because those screenings are usually empty and allows you to talk, and what you're seeing on the screen is going to stimulate quite a lot of feelings and conversation, and then you're going to see very quickly who the person is, because if it's particularly penetrating and upsetting.
Okay. Duncan, 15 seconds to rebuttal in 3, 2, 1, go.
You can't do a lot of talking in cinemas because have you ever been into a cinema? That's not really what you're supposed to do there. Unless you're in an empty cinema and it's just the two of you, then you hit the jackpot, but you can't really bet your money on that. There's more usually other people that are trying to enjoy the movie and you don't want to be there with...
Okay, and yours starts in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, sure, you can't talk in the cinema maybe, but then you can talk afterwards. I mean, you're not having sex at the date, right? There's a lot that comes after, so I can imagine a lot can come after the film as well.
Cool. And we'll stop you there at 12 seconds. Okay, I'll start. I will say that I think Paul gets the point simply because I think he already protected himself against your rebuttal before you even started rebutting by saying take them to a small, quiet screening. He already set that up, and I think you were fighting a redundant fight. So that's why I go Paul. Caleb?
I think it doesn't matter whether you go to a small or big screening because
No, don't do this.
Vincent will literally get me in trouble for talking in the cinema anyway.
Well, only for shit movies.
Yeah, no, sure.
Only for shit movies.
No, I would like to say I think Duncan did a better job really making me go, do I want to actually spend time with this person? Is this cinema the best? Should the basis of the dates be the screen in front of us? You did a fantastic job explaining that the screen isn't essential, but I think on a movie podcast debate show, it's a big part of it. So that means Danny has to choose who wins.
Okay, there's no bias there, but Paul gets the point, as is
Was
the
your
rules.
guys' first date a movie?
That means it is 3-0. So, Duncan, if you don't win this question, Paul wins. Okay. Open-ended question, focusing on the fact that you know film stuff. I'll give you that. So shout any answer you have. Which movie crew role should show first in the credits?
Director.
Okay.
Well, the cast.
Okay, cool. I'll take it as cast, and the way that it works was... Okay, let me ask you this. Order of appearance or importance of character?
Importance.
Okay, cool. So that's Paul, that's Duncan. Duncan, you're going to go first in 3, 2, 1.
The common assumption, or not assumption, the conclusion about filmmaking is that essentially the director is the auteur of the film. He's the one that tells the narrative. So if he wrote the book, then the book should have his name on the cover. He's the director. He directed this narrative into the specific direction.
Time. Okay. Paul in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I think the cast is really the body of the film. Without them, there would be nothing but empty space that we would be looking at. So it sometimes is nice to just sit back and see something scroll past and illuminate. I don't know, man. I got stuck on
time. Okay. Duncan, 15 seconds in 3, 2, 1.
My biggest issue with that argument is the fact that what you said can be said about anybody in the film crew. If any one of them disappear, if the sound person disappears, the editor disappears, then the movie is incomplete. So it's not a matter of importance. It's about whose story are you telling.
Time. Okay, Paul, 15 seconds in 3, 2, 1.
Honestly, like, if the sound designer got replaced, I'd replace him with another guy that you'd probably never have heard of unless you're a fanatic. If Hugh Jackman was on the screen, that's pretty quintessential. And sometimes I've cared more about him than who directed this.
Time. Sure, very difficult. Okay, Caleb, you lead us on this one.
Despite stumbling over his words, I think Duncan took that one.
I agree that Duncan took it. I think you painted a slightly nicer picture, but I do agree that sometimes you just want to see shit scroll, man.
I just pulled that out.
I said directing like 7 times.
Directing the direction of the directors.
I actually agree.
No,
Which is why that was hard.
I'm one of the few peoples I know that really love sitting through most of the credits, at least. We were at the Wicked 2 screening, and the funniest thing happened where I was sitting there like this. This is how I sit after the credits. And the person we were with, it was myself, Caleb, and some friends, and they wanted to say, "What did you think?" And Caleb said, "No, wait, he's processing." And I'm like, "Yes, thank you, Caleb." So I'm glad that I have that little thing that people know about me now. You're not reading these with me, right?
No.
Okay, cool.
I don't have the best eyesight.
Okay, great. I'm glad you don't. So, Duncan, you are closer to victory, but not nearly out of the hot seat. There's 3 questions left. It's 1 point Duncan, 3 points Paul. So, let's see what happens. The next question. I went a bit wonky and weird with this one. Good luck. It's a single word answer. Describe Scooby-Doo the best with 1 word.
Mystery.
Hungry.
I'm really excited to see how this plays out. Okay, Duncan, you went first. Your 20 seconds starts in 3, 2, 1.
When anybody thinks Scooby-Doo, you think about the mystery cartoon, you think about the mystery van, you think about the mystery gang. If you're talking about the entire cartoon, then, I mean, it's all mystery, but the fact that they also have like a searching dog who's an animated character, but that's essentially what he is. He's a searching dog, just like the police used to find drugs and whatever. That's the purpose.
Time. Okay, Paul, 20 seconds in 3, 2, 1.
Everything you said is relevant to the show and to the other characters in it. Scooby-Doo himself is always hungry. He's basically a stoner, and his best friend is a walking embodiment of it, and they spend most episodes happening to find clues as part of their search for food and tastes and flavors.
Time. Okay, Duncan, 15 seconds in 3, 2, 1.
They happen to find clues. No, they happen to find food in. No, they happen to find clues in search of food, and again they're searching for clues. The food doesn't exist without the clues. It leads them to the clues because this is all mystery at the end of the day.
Time. Okay, Paul, in 3, 2, 1.
Yes, but at the same time, they weren't looking for the mystery. The mystery happened around them and within them, but they themselves were just hungry and they were just lurching after snacks and good experiences.
How can you talk about Scooby-Doo being hungry and not once mention Scooby snacks?
Okay, it's interesting because I think my strategy for this question would have been to say dog. That would have been my word.
I thought it would have been too obvious.
I
You
mean,
would have
it's a
laughed at
better
me and been
descriptor.
like,
No, I wouldn't have. That was my thinking. We're going into this. But apt argument. It's interesting because I thought for my side, Duncan, that you were going to take it with your rebuttal, with like this whole idea of their pursuit of food actually leads into the mystery. But that's more description of the series and movies than it is of Scooby-Doo. And I felt that Paul painted a better picture for the descriptor of Scooby-Doo because inherently he is hungry, so he pursues the food, not the mystery. And that's why I give it to Paul. What do you say, Caleb?
I think Duncan had a fantastic opening statement. And I was like, there's no way Paul's going to recover from that. But your rebuttal lets you down. And I think...
So for hungry for clue for hungry for clue.
You guys have seen very well in this episode that I'm not good at speaking fast. It's the speed that kills me.
And while Paul was very, very one note, his answer rang true. So I think I will also go with Paul.
Rigged.
Which means Paul, who's clearly a producer on the show, according to Duncan, is the main character of this episode. Yay, give it for Paul. Don't be angry. Yes, everyone love each other.
Do you mean producer or director?
No, because he was like, no, it's rigged. So why would we rig it for Paul? You all really did well, and I am becoming a broken record when I say that everyone did excellent. One just did more excellent than the others. But Paul, this is a victory well deserved, and I think it's a fair echo of how you argued through the main questions. You did a fantastic job, and you have a way with words which is oftentimes unmatched as it is today. And because you are the victor, please say literally whatever you want to say on the mic. Usually people use this as an opportunity to shout out whatever they're working on or doing, but you can genuinely go any direction with it.
Yeah, it's interesting how inflammatory things got here. Like, I can feel the anger throughout. It's fascinating experience. This is one of those moments you look back on and you're like, damn it, I should have said that.
Honestly, it's not about what you say, but how you say it. That's not even true at all. Okay, let's actually go to Duncan. Duncan, anything you want to plug, say, or do?
I just want to make a comment that it's very well. Congratulations, Paul. You really did this win this episode. I feel like it's very ironic, but also beautiful how, again, an office story, but in the office, we're also known as Caleb being the loudest, most opinionated one in the office, me being very introverted, but sometimes conversational, and Paul being the most dead, quiet person in the office. And the order of winning happened. I made it into the speed round and he won it. Literally the most quiet person won the episode. I came very close. And Mr. Opinionated came dead last.
While Caleb, anything you want to say on behalf of yourself or Plot Armor, as you are a voice and this is rigged. You win the episode. Main character, Caleb Janssens.
Hell yeah. So a few episodes ago, we had one of our friends on Canton Parker who, behind the scenes, spoke about what it means to be passionate about something. And it means to suffer. And I have suffered. No, but I think this was weirdly the most aggressive. We've had people get aggressive on the show before, but this one felt aggressive. And I think it does just show how much we love what we talk about and what we do. And it is literally our 9 to 5, which is wild. Like, very often people come here and they talk about their hobbies. We're talking about our, in many ways, in cases, like our lives, our livelihoods. And so it's like, damn, like, you go take that food off my baby's plate. But no, I had a good time, and it was good to be taken down a peg.
So that's awesome. It's great to hear from these guys. What I will say from myself on behalf of Plot Armor is that you genuinely don't want to miss the next episode, because the next episode does not have 3 guests. It does not have 4 guests. It does not have 5 guests. It has 7 guests representing the big epic finale celebration of the first season, which is the 2025 season, and leads us perfectly into season 2 with fresh faces, some familiar and some crazy twists. So let's see what it has in store. Definitely want to catch that. But that's it for this episode, and I really hope you enjoyed. I hope you got a little bit heated too, and if you did, just tell us how you felt down in the comments. We won't be offended. In fact, I've seen the plot armor comment section get a little bit spicy, mostly from our side. So sorry not sorry. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.